Hello and welcome to a Cuppa with Karen. I've been sucked into the Epstein stuff again. However, I came across this very sage advice from Mikki Willis in regards to New Age stuff, and I thought, that's a keeper.
People in the spiritual community that have been caught up, including the Dalai Lama, have been caught in the Epstein files, and also with Deepak Chopra. But so here is Savior tweets out: newly released emails reveal the Dalai Lama, the Tibetan Buddhist spiritual teacher, met repeatedly with Jeffrey Epstein, and his name is mentioned at least 169 times in the files. So this is a video. I don't want to show it, but it's a video of him uh putting his tongue out and having the kid kiss it, and him kissing the kid's. It was weird. They tried to
He actually tells the child, "Suck on my tongue."
stuck on my tongue. So people have tried to explain that away as being cultural, and so I don't know enough about the culture, so I don't want to get into it too much with that. Have you heard the same excuses that when he did that it was cultural?
I have, that he is so enlightened that he's childlike, and that was just one child to another, playing around. But I have spent time with the Dalai Lama personally. I spent 10 days with him, day and night, filming a project in 2008. And at this time, I was exploring all the different world religions, and Tibetan Buddhism was one of my favorites. So there's a lot of principles that I still follow today. Mindfulness is a really great practice. Meditation is a great practice. But I will tell you what really turned me off here is we were going in to look for a location to do an interview with the Dalai Lama. So they had us in his suite.
Uh-oh.
And so I noticed the toilet bowl was filled with bright orange, yellow urine, and I went to flush it as we were doing this walkthrough, and one of his aides said, "No." I said, "Oh, I'm sorry." And he said, his disciples will come and drink that.
You got to be kidding.
No, I'm not kidding. And I said, "I'm sorry. Wait. I'm sorry. They're going to drink out of the toilet?" "Oh, yeah. I said, "Why?" They said, "Well, they feel that it will give them enlightenment. It will give them, some of the properties that have made His Holiness so amazing. So they come in here as soon as we allow them to, and they'll drink out of the toilet."
And so did you just kind of like brush it off and keep going, or did it kind of shake you?
It kind of put a damper on the trip, I'll just say, because it went from, "Oh, he's just this beautiful, loving thing," to like, this is okay. I understand. Look, I worked with a lot of indigenous cultures, a lot of cultures around the world, and everyone has different traditions, and so they have their own justification for that. And maybe it's not as dark as it sounds to us Westerners, possibly. But when he then started to come out and get involved in things like COVID, he pushed hard for the COVID vaccines.
The
And
Dalai
so,
Lama did?
oh yeah,
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
So
Um,
the people have said he's compromised by the CIA, and we know CIA was a big driving force behind COVID because it came from DARPA, it came from the military industrial complex is where it
yeah.
came from. And so go ahead. I'm sorry.
So it makes you wonder, it makes you wonder. I don't like to pass judgment too quickly on people. But that's, when I see that, when you see somebody towing the line, it was the gradual awakening I had towards Bernie Sanders, which I know you had this same awakening with, of just seeing like, okay, it says a lot of things we really like, but boy, he keeps pushing policies and people and things that are just so contrast to everything it sounds like he stands for. What is going on here? And again, he was one that pushed hard on the COVID vaccines too. So I look at these spiritual leaders, and I know this world really well. As I said, I lived in it, and I was all in. I mean, I was woo-woo as it can get. And I had people warn me when I was in it. I remember having a really wise guy say to me one time, "Be very, very, very careful of this community that you're inhabiting right now." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Because the New Age movement is the ego's favorite place to hide." And it took me years to kind of unpack that and to kind of watch that unfold, to realize, that is what we're struggling with a lot, is this false persona that we call the ego. And the New Age movement there's a lot of value in it, so I don't want to trash it all. But the New Age movement provided a cover for those who really don't want to do the work. All they want to do is change their dialect. respect. They want to be able to put on some loose fitting white clothing and make eye contact way too long and say the right things, and suddenly instead of trying to get laid and hooking up, they're talking about sacred sexuality and tantra, and so it's like they're doing the same things, they're womanizing, but it's okay because it's at Burning Man or it's at a temple, or but it's the same game but kind of softened. It's also where men also learn to be less masculine, because the whole thing is about none of that, no force, no strength, just everything is just is tai chi through it all, aikido through it all. And so I tried that for a long time, and it wasn't until I had children, and then we were trying to teach our children that, and I realized these kids are developing a mentality, and they're running us. Our children were 4 and 6, and they were running us because they saw dad as soft. And because we were trying to do this conscious parenting thing where I remember one time I was at the park in Ojai, and I was watching this little boy pummel his mother in the face, sitting on her lap, pummel her. And she's going, okay, I see that you're angry, and something must have really, ow, 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 okay, that's hard. It really upset you, and you're angry. And it's like, just the whole thing, just talk through it all. And it wasn't until one day I just went, I'm going to scrap all this bullshit, and I'm going to follow my instincts, and I'm going to be a man. The result of it was this, is my kids discovered that their dad is not to be messed with. And as a result, they felt safe in a dangerous world. And so they didn't try to pull the same BS on us. They stopped all of that because they also had a sense of respect for the pecking order in our home, which I started to really lay into it heavily. Like, you never disrespect your mother. Let's go back to some old fashioned, like all of our history, all of our old ways, which have just been deemed as kind of barbaric and archaic and wrong, because that's what's led to capitalism and the destruction of everything. I don't know. I think we kind of have thrown the baby out with the bathwater with a lot of those practices. So I just went, I'm just going to go. And thank God my wife was willing to let me go there. And there were a few times when she said, I don't know if you need to yell like that. No, I'm going to yell because it's what I feel inside. And it turned out to be the right thing to do, because like I said, in the end, my kids are balanced. They're good kids. And they have respect for their elders. They have good old-fashioned respect. They open doors for women and for elderly people. But we need to come back to some of that. But that new age world was where I was starting to. It also is where I first started to recognize that they're changing the language. Suddenly now, the language that we've spoken forever. I remember one time that we, because it was a live-work environment we lived in, and I said, okay, guys, we really have to get some work done today. We're on a deadline. And one of the members of our community goes, can we call it a lifeline? Why would you use the word dead? I was like, what is going on here? Like, everything, we're so sensitive that now all these words and terminologies that we've used forever are now being frowned upon, and you want us to bend everything to make you comfortable so you're not. And I realized later, I'm like, oh, this is the feelings over facts crowd. This is where it's starting. Like, we're shaping everything in our physical world to make us feel better, instead of dealing with the realities of the world and doing something about them.
Now that's something you won't see on the ABC. And that'll do. See you later. Bye.